So in this video tutorial, I'll be showing you a little bit more about sharpening in Photoshop. So I have this image of this flower, and as you can see, it's a bit blurry, and so I want to sharpen a focal point in it, which is this flower. And so in order to do that, I'm going to open this image in Photoshop, and first I want to make sure that I am doing non-destructive editing. So I'm actually going to come over here, select my background, and I'm going to hit Command J or Control J, which will duplicate that layer. As you can see, I now have two of the same flowers. One's locked, so that is our non-destructive photo. So in case we ever want to go back and change any edits that we did, we still have that original. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go up into our filter menu, and I'm going to scroll down to Sharpen, and I'm going to do Unsharp Mask. Now the Unsharp Mask menu will bring up this menu box, and as you can see, we have three sliders: Amount, Radius, and Threshold. And we also have a Zoom In and Zoom Out function. One thing that I want to point out when it comes to sharpening with Photoshop is sharpening cannot bring back a blurry image. So keep that in mind. So you can play around with these values on the slider, and you can see how it changes here in this preview box, but it also changes in the background as well. You can even zoom in and out of this image here by hitting Command plus or Command minus on the Mac, or Control plus or Control minus on the PC. As you can see, I am zooming in, and you can use your mouse wheel or your trackpad to move around. So now that I have this image here in this Unsharp Mask window, I want to set my settings. So I'm going to keep it at about 200%. And here you can actually type in 200 if you want. Radius, you should probably keep anywhere from 1.1 to 4. As you can see, it all depends on how sharp you want it to look. I'm going to keep it a bit on the not as sharp side, so I'm going to go around 2 pixels. My threshold is just a tool that will show all of the image. It just basically isn't like an intensity. The more threshold levels you have, the closer it'll look towards the original image. So I'm going to keep it at about 20 levels. And so now I want to actually zoom out and see what this all looks like. So I'm going to hit Command 0 or Control 0. That'll bring me out to the full view. And I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to hit OK, and so our Unsharp Mask has been applied to this layer 1. But I don't want all of this sharpening to apply to the whole image. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a mask, and then we can just brush on what parts of the image we want to show our Unsharp Mask. So in order to do that, I'm going to come down here to the bottom of my layers palette, and you can see there's this little icon here. It says Add Layer Mask. So I'm going to first make sure that my layer 1 is selected, and I'm going to add this layer mask. And as you can see here, that it has this white layer mask. And so I actually want to switch this to black. A black layer mask will hide any of the changes that it has, and a white will show them. So I'm going to actually hit Command I or Control I on your Windows to invert the layer mask. And as you can see, now I can't see any of that Unsharp Mask that we did. This will allow me to come over here with a brush tool and paint on where I want the sharpness to show. So with a black mask, you want to paint with white, and that will reveal your changes. So I'm going to come over here to my toolbar. I'm going to select the brush. You can also select that by hitting B. And I'm going to make sure that my foreground color here is set to white. So I'm painting white on a black mask. And as you can see, by doing that, it reveals the sharpness, the sharpness from the Unsharp Mask that we set earlier. And so I just want to sharpen some of this flower. I don't want to sharpen all of it, and you can play around with it. And so say I sharpened a bit too much, and I don't want to sharpen like this petal for here. So for example, to fix that, all you do is you just paint on black again. And so you can do that one of two ways. You can come down here and select your color and choose your color picker this way. The easier way is to actually hit X. And so what that does is it'll swap this color with this color. And sometimes you have to be careful to make sure that your black is on the bottom. So as you can see, after I hit X, it swapped that color. And so now I can take this brush and I can come in and re-hide the sharpness where I don't want it. So let's say that this brush size is a bit too big and I want to hide not as much. So in order to change the brush size, you can do it one of two ways. You can come up here to the brush panel and you can change the size with the slider. The easier way to do it is using your bracket keys. So with the bracket, your left bracket will make it smaller and your right bracket will make it larger. And as you can see, the brush is getting smaller and larger based upon the keys that I hit. So I'm going to make mine a bit smaller and I want to hide all this out. And right now, since I'm painting with black on black, it's going to just hide the changes. And you know what? Maybe I just want to make this petal in focus or sharpen it a bit more. So I'm going to hit my X, which will show this white brush. It'll put white back on my brush. And I'm going to come back in and sharpen this. And I may just sharpen this first layer of petals just to give a nice depth of field effect. And I'm going to zoom out all the way. I hit Command 0 or Control 0, and then you can use Command minus and or Control minus. And I like this. I think it's good. But that's how you use the sharpening tools in Photoshop.